Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Hump Day, Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. I am Salibu's sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. And I do hope everyone is having a good day today. And I want to welcome everyone over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Frankie. Okay, so I think this is going to be a good time to start it. And I'm going to stop the music here. Okay, so, and again, welcome everyone over on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Okay, so today I want to talk about a person's choice. Do people really have a choice? And are some choices a person's only option? Like, do we really have a choice? Do you really have a choice? As we get older and we become adults, we have to make choices. Before, when we were younger, our parents make choices for us. Your parents decide, what you're going to wear to school, what you're going to eat. Sometimes you do have choices. They'll say, well, do you want to wear this? Do you want to wear that? Do you want to eat this or do you want to eat that? But do we really have choices? And are those choices our only option? And if they're not our only option, why don't we exercise more choices? Like when we vote, that you can write someone in. Why don't people use the write-in option more when they vote? If they're unhappy with, two of the people, why don't they use the write-in option? If you're not happy with your job, you have a choice. You can stay on the job or you can quit. Or is that really a choice? Because you know that you have to pay rent, mortgage, you have to feed your family, or if you're single, you have to eat. You have to live. So do we really have choices? And again, I say, is that choice a person's only option? Every day when we wake up, we are presented with choices. And some people say that no matter what the circumstances are, we have a choice. So then it comes down to the consequences of that choice, that consequence. So if we make a choice, is the consequence going to be good or is the consequence going to be bad? What, is the consequence of our choice? Welcome, Grid. If we decide not to go to work, Do we risk a consequence of getting fired? If we choose, not to take a shower or a bath for a week, do we risk the consequence of, offending someone else? So again, do we really have choices? Welcome, Stinger. Um, do we have choices? Um, you know, that particular person at school, if your teacher says, well, we're going to work in teams, and, you know, um, you know, Grid, you're going to work with Power Girl, or Frankie, you're going to work with Stinger. Do you have a choice, or do you guys, or do you want to work with someone else? And Stinger says, well, Stinger, well, I will say this. There are some people who don't have access to soap and water. So there are some people who don't get a chance to shower or bathe on the daily. So those people, uh, Chris says, we got power, and Stinger says, sorry, I had to. Okay, yeah. So you think it's a lot to stand in the rain and be able to wash yourself? Not in Southern California. Hey, Brina, welcome back. But do people have choices? And okay, and Stinger, I'm going to go to that point. So if you are homeless, or you're someone who doesn't have access to water, in order to bathe, um, in your home, or you don't have a home, whatever. Is there an option? Do you have a choice where you can go somewhere and bathe daily? Or is that option where, yeah, this place allows us to come in and shower, but we can only do it twice a week? Rivers have waters. Okay, all right. Not all rivers in Southern California. Okay, okay. So the public restrooms. Okay, so do you think that someone who is, and again, anyone who's listening out there, I am not trying to make fun of, or anything, or be mean or nasty. This is just a conversation that we're having. Blasky, welcome. Um so Stinger, I'm just asking, so do you think that people who do not have homes, and you say go to the public restrooms, do you think they have access to those public restrooms every day, where they can clean up in a way where they may not offend someone? Where they can wash. Tasting here. All right. Okay. So the ocean has water. Everybody doesn't live by an ocean. Everybody doesn't live by a lake. So I'm just saying. So once again, is a person's choice, the choice that they made. Sometimes um, it's their only option. You know what, Stinger? I am going to tell you right now. I would not I would not bathe in any California ocean, lake, stream. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. So, do you think that people have options? Do you think that a person's choice, they may only have one option, or do you think that there are more? I mean, if you're picking out something for your child to wear to school, and you put something out, and you say, okay, you can either wear this, or you can wear that. Is that the only option that they have? Those only two options? Wouldn't there be another option? Can't they go to the closet and pull out something else? So technically, they would have a third or fourth or fifth option, right? And then Stinger says, no, some people don't have options, but I would let someone borrow my hose out back. Okay, with every choice, there's a consequence. Okay, so Grid, do you think that that consequence could be negative or positive? And I'm asking because the word consequence, sometimes people think that is more of a negative than a positive. So I'm going to ask this. So okay, so it depends upon the choice. So if you choose to marry a certain woman, is that a consequence? Welcome, D. Is that a consequence? Okay, Singer says clothes options. I went times with low amount of clothes. Okay, okay, but you had something to wear. If it had a choice, yes, marriage can ultimately be a consequence. Okay, okay. So, Stinger, you're saying that yes, marriage can ultimately be a consequence. Then, when Grid says with every choice there's a consequence, is that necessarily true? I'm silent because I'm just waiting to see if anyone's going to respond. Um, it does say for better or for worse. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So if you get into trouble and you went to court and the judge said you either go to jail or you go to the military, is that a good choice? So now I want to talk about good and bad choices. Is that a good choice? You can either go to jail, spend a year in jail, or spend a year in the military. Is that a good choice? The question is just a person's choice. So, Greet, you're saying that's okay. Are you talking about the military? That's a great choice? Okay. Now, D is saying the military. Stinger says military would definitely be the better choice. Okay. So, are you okay? I see one advantage of going to the military. Number one, you would not have being in jail on your record. But is the military a good choice for everyone? Can everyone deal with the military? And I'm not talking about someone who, can't take orders or doesn't like being told what to do, but just physically, or even mentally. Is it probably better for them to go to jail as opposed to going to the military? Okay, so Grit said, yeah, probably not. Okay, not everyone can cut it. So is that a good choice or is that a bad choice? Military or go to jail or prison, however you want to put it. You gave us one alternative military. No, I gave you two choices. I said if I'm the judge and you got into trouble, I said you have a choice. You either go to the military or you can go to jail. So I gave you choices. Okay, Stinger says jail is never a good choice. So okay, well, jail you're going to get too much love, and military not enough love. Okay, so D says to you that's not really a choice. Okay, how about option three? Vacation on a deserted island. Oh, Stinger, sometimes I don't even want a vacation on a deserted island. Just let me, go to that deserted um, island. Oh boy. And I just live there all by myself, 365 days a year. So okay, so D, why do you think that's not a choice? You can either do one or you can do the other. So are you saying it's not a choice because it's not a favorable choice? Should it be you either go to jail or you go home and you live with your mom for a year? Snicker says, I don't want jail love. Neither do I. Neither do I. So okay, so guys, let me ask this to what D is saying. Do you think that I gave you guys a choice with the military or jail? Jail is not really a choice to me. Okay, so D. Okay, so that's why I'm asking. He says you get too deep, love it. Okay, so D, that's why I'm asking what type of choice. Would you want? Because there were times when if you got into trouble, especially like during the Vietnam War, and people got into trouble, guys got into trouble, they would say the judge would say either uh, sign up for the military or you go to jail. So you are getting a choice. And does every choice have to necessarily be a positive choice or a good choice? Okay, exactly. If it was given to you to choose, then it's a choice. So then my next question is then do we make choices that may not necessarily be great choices? I'm pretty sure. Because I know I have. Sometimes, just in life, you're going through what I want to say. You're going through stuff, and you have to make a choice, and you may not necessarily like those choices, but those are the choices that you have. Those are your options, unless something else is presented and it's better. But if someone else is giving you a choice, then those are the choices that you know then you're given a set of choices if someone else is giving them to you. Yes, bad choices are a part of life. So I want to talk about choice and options. Our choice is a choice, and options are those the same? And welcome, Tisfula. Well, no, not anymore. um, are choices and options the same thing? What is the difference between a choice and an option? Or is there a difference? Anybody? 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 Bum, bum. Anybody? Anybody? All right. So some people say that a choice is an opportunity, where an option is something that, well, sorry, these are your only options. So would you guys agree with that? Hey, Grit, welcome up. Welcome, welcome.
Solid. How's it going?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well.
I am doing very well.
Good, good. Yeah, I think choices and options are the same thing. Basically, you're still making a decision on which route to go, or what decision to make or to take.
But do you think a person's, do you think one is more favorable than the other? Like, do you think a choice is looked at more in a positive light and an option is looked at more in a negative light?
Not really. I think like if you're given the choice or the option, jail or military, it's still both either a choice or an option. You've got to choose one or the other. So I think it's the same thing.
Okay. All right. So do you think, welcome, Pook. So do you think that it would make a difference psychologically if you're in court before the judge and the judge says, Grit, you have the option to either go to jail or go to the military, or you have a choice to go to jail or go to the military. Do you think that the wording makes a difference on how a person would see it on a psychological basis?
Um, For me, I don't think so. I mean, it's still only two options. You still got to make a choice with the two options you have. So, wouldn't make any difference to me. There's still only the two outcomes, one or the other.
Okay, all right. So that is okay, Poop. So let me ask this. And I'm not asking you to go into detail or tell your business or anything like this, but I am going to ask you: have you ever made a choice in your life that if you were to do it over, your whole life would be completely different?
Um, Probably to a certain degree, uh, I would make different choices, but the most part, I mean, the choices I've made in my life up until today is what I have and what I've gone through to create the kind of person that I am today. So I probably wouldn't change anything. I probably would do a few things differently, but I think the outcome would be the same.
Okay, all right. So Grit, I'm asking you this because you're on the panel, but everyone else also. Do you think that parents necessarily make good, and I'm going to use another word, good decisions for their children? Welcome, crazy lady. I mean, do you think that, I'm using that word because I'm also want to know, do you think a decision, a choice, and an option, they're the same thing? Do you think that they're tied to together? So do you think that parents make good decisions for their kids, or should you say parents make good choices for their kids?
Um, yeah, I still think it's the same. I would like to believe that they have the best intentions of trying to make the best choices for decisions for their kids. Um, I know that's what I do. Uh, so yeah, it's probably not the same for everyone. You get some bad parents. For me, I try and make the best choice or the best decision for my kids.
Okay, all right, all right. So I go back to: do you guys think that for some people, the choice that a person makes is their only option?
Um, yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot of choices. It's just depending on which ones they take. Would you'd have to determine if that's the best choice, that they're making. Um, they might not necessarily have all the right advice or the knowledge to make the best choice, but to their knowledge, the choice for them.
Okay, so let me ask this. Do you think that a choice is just an illusion? Like you think you have a choice, but you really don't?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think if they if the if the how can I say the options or the tools that they have in front of them, if that's all that they have to use, they have to try and make the best choice or decision with those tools. Some
Okay.
people might have a bit more, than others that can make better choices or more knowledge, or they can make better choices.
Okay. All right. So crazy lady says can be, and Stinger, I got it on the refund line. I understand what you're talking about. So guys, I mean, I want to go back to Stinger and um, the whole homeless thing. Um, if you're in a situation like that where your choices are limited compared to someone else who has a home or whatever to live in, do people who are at a disadvantage, do they really have a lot of choices? I mean, can we really say that you still have choices? And I even and I do say, even going to the thing about, when Stinger and I were talking about being able to bathe every day, and he said you can go to a public restroom, and what have you. Hey Angie, I mean, do you think that people who are at a disadvantage have choices? Crazy. Welcome, welcome.
Well, yeah, there. I mean, depending on what the choices are, I mean, there's always a choice. You know what I mean? Um, and even when you're homeless, there was always a choice. You know.
But
Um,
okay, but is a homeless person going to have the same choice as you, who has a roof over their head?
well, obviously not, because I mean, I don't say that because I used to be homeless, and I mean, I was homeless for a reason, and I became non-homeless. You know, not by by me making the choice not to be homeless anymore. You know what I mean?
I understand that, but I guess what I'm saying. But even when you were homeless, you don't you were still at a disadvantage as opposed to someone who could go to a house and turn the key and go into an apartment or house. I mean, you still did not have some of the advantages that other people would have. You could not just, I mean, could you just go and shower whenever you wanted?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, no, you can't. I mean, yeah, you don't have the same choices, but you just make do. You prioritize. What's important to you. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right. Welcome, Shiley. All right, all right. I don't know. I mean, because well, I'll come back to that, because I do want to make a point on what you just said. But Poop, I know you said that you don't have time, so I'm surprised you popped up. But welcome, Poop.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good,
Hey, I'm
good.
just curious, what are you defining as homeless?
I'm defining as homeless someone who may live in their car, live under the freeway. I mean, someone who you know doesn't live in a shelter. I mean, someone who is out in the open. They're in the elements. They may have a tent on the sidewalk. I mean, that's what
Sure.
I'm defining as homeless.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is because sometimes we don't realize that people are in certain situations. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. When we're looking at people that are living in tent cities, or they're living in the woods or something like that, a lot of times those are issues that are mentally driven. There's some mental challenges there. And I'm not going to say that they're uh, disadvantages per se, but sometimes it is a choice, and sometimes they're made to be in those choices, right? So, as somebody that deals with this on a consistent basis, I work with a lot of homeless organizations across the country, including the National Coalition for the Homeless in Washington, D.C. And I'm a huge advocate for getting people off the street and getting them into programs that are going to put them in a position to better themselves. One of the biggest challenges that I see consistently is the amount of funding that's approved, and for whatever reason, whether it be a federal or grant or any type of donation programs, what I see a lot of is they approve this funding. A lot of these organizations spend the money, then they pull the funding back and they say, "Oh, well, we can't do that now. Sorry," but they've already spent a ton of money if preferred vendors and all this other stuff. But there's one key thing here that we have to remember, and I'm going to use the extended stay hotel as an example. A lot of these extended stay hotels exploit and take advantage of people that are kind of down on their luck or in between homes. And I consider them homeless because they're living in a commercial property, they're paying a weekly rate, they're paying a high weekly rate, and I have heard it over and over again. What can we do to raise their rate to keep them there?
Okay, so then I'm going to tie that back to my question. Do they have a choice? Do they have another option?
Technically, in some of those extended stay type properties, they are working a full-time job. They can come home, they can take a shower, they can feed their family. They're all living in a square box, but yet they're trying to save money and they're nickel and diming every single day. So they can save money to do better and to get their own apartment or their own house or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of people that are out there that are pushing this predatory agenda, especially from that particular industry, and they're repressing people in these extended stay hotels. So they're coming back and saying, you know what, push their rate. Let's give them a teaser rate to get them in here at $199 a week. And then lo and behold, 30 days later, go ahead and move them up to $379 a week. If they don't like it, tell them to get out.
Okay, so again, I'm asking because I'm just trying to tie this, what you're saying, I'm just trying to tie in with the topic. Do you have a choice? Do you go ahead and pay the $399 or do you have the choice to leave? You have a choice
to leave, but here's the thing. There's a limitation on that choice because it's based on what people choose to do for work or what they choose not to do for work, right? You and I've had these conversations before,
right?
And private. And we all know that the world is available to everybody. But how do you grease that wheel for somebody? And at the end of the day, it is a choice per se, because you can't be in a situation where there's hands that are extended to you to help, and then you choose not to take that hand, or you choose not to take advantage of that opportunity that you're being given.
Okay.
Absolutely, I believe it's a choice. But at the same time, you've got other elements that are also creating a lot of problems to make it more difficult for the people that want to make those good choices for themselves.
All right.
So
then
you've got this opposition all the time.
Okay, and this is where I said is a choice and illusion. You may think you have a choice, but you really don't.
I agree with that.
Okay, so then hold on, let me read what DMAC says. No, a choice is not an illusion. If you apply to colleges and get into two, you have two options of which choice. Okay,
but you can't do that at 58 years old.
Okay.
Let's, we have to look at the total demographic. If you're looking at a certain age group or, somebody that's 18 to 24, that's a whole other story. But if you're looking at somebody that's 58 or 62 that can barely afford their medicine and they can't pay rent anymore, that's a totally different story.
All right. So then this is where I come back and I want to say where I asked before, is a choice and an option the same thing? So instead of having choices, then when you get older, like you said, your demographic has changed and you're older. Do the choices then turn into options? Welcome, Ba. So,
A lot of people aren't given those options. I have a friend in Arkansas right now that's been on the waiting list for some type of subsidized housing,
mhm.
and she's had 4 strokes. She can't even walk anymore, hardly. And they keep denying her housing because they say she makes too much money. I know how much she makes.
Well,
She's
unfortunately,
$9 over.
Poot, that's the way our system is. You
Yep.
make too much. You make too much money when you're poor. So, Dee says if homeless, you don't have the same options as someone who's not. So then, crazy lady, what Poop just said is tying into what you said earlier. So, do you still say that if you're homeless, whatever, you still have choices, considering what Poop just said?
Well, I mean, it's like it- depending on like the homeless person, okay? Like a good percent of, I'm sorry to say it, and it was true when I was homeless. Their a drug problem, or drugs, made them homeless. You know, if people like in some, like Duke says, some of the homeless people want to be homeless. I don't know what, but for me, I know. I mean, you can make an excuse all day long of why you're where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But but the only person that can change your circumstances if you don't like your circumstances is you. That's when I say, the choice is yours. Is if you're choosing to make a proper step toward a better life, And like we said, some of the people that are homeless, they are mentally, and sometimes they don't have a choice, um, for whatever reason. I don't know. It's a loaded question. Damn it, Blue. You always do that to me.
Wait until you do our paranormal show. I have a lot of loaded questions for that one. And I have them written down. So, okay. So then here's a loaded one for you, and I'm gonna start with Crazy Lady and Grid and Pook if you want to jump in, and everyone in the chat. But I'm now that Crazy says it's a loaded one, I'm gonna throw one at you. You are under the age of 18. Yes, I'm talking about minors again, and you're alone. You're on the street, homeless, however you want to put it. Do they have the same options and choices as an adult who is homeless and
No,
on the street?
no, because they're runaways. So, they can't, usually they have to like, be on the low.
Okay, so but what if they're not? What if their family was on the street and whatever happened to their family, they ended up by themselves? So, but I guess what my question is, take the runaway aspect out of it. Just the fact that they're a minor. Does a minor
Yeah.
have the same options as an adult when they're on the
No, because a
street?
minor always needs an adult to do anything like legal. So no.
Can they go to a shelter by themselves?
No, actually they can't.
Really?
Actually. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And the shelters, and check it out. A lot of the shelters, the family shelters, like, okay, women that like escape like an abusive home, if they're like if they have like one girl, one male, usually it's the male that like some shelters have different age limits, but usually I think like the max is 16. If your child's 16 years old, check it out. He can't be in the domestic violence house with you and your daughter because he's too old. Isn't that some bizarre crap?
That is correct in a lot of places.
Yeah. So if you have a male
But what if,
child and you run,
okay, but if you have a 16-year-old daughter, she's able to be there, right?
yep.
So are they saying because a male, are they looking at the sexual
I don't
molestation
know.
part of it, or?
I don't know. I don't know what their issue is with it. It's wrong, I think. because I mean, that 16-year-old male, I mean, he's still a minor, and it's just,
Okay, so then that's when I say, in my question, when I say a person's choice, is it because it's their only option? Then for some people and some situations, it is their only option.
yeah, in some situations, yeah, I'd have to agree.
So if you so take the thing where the 16-year-old. Okay, so if the boy is 15 and then they turn 16, then they would be asked to leave, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so you have a situation where your family was in this particular center. Your son turned 16. He's asked to leave. So now he's out on the street by himself. He's not a run away. He was just put out of a place where he was able to live because of some ridiculous law.
Yeah, and usually that's when CPS usually swoops by and then grabs your kid and puts them in the system, and you lose them. That's 9 times out of 10 what happens in those situations.
So then I'm going to go to and ask, then does your family have an option? Meaning, if your 16-year-old was told to leave and you left with your 16-year-old, which I would, I mean, I would not have my 16-year-old, I would leave with them. Then I had a choice, I had an option that I would leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I guess time to come up with a new game plan,
Okay.
I mean, that's what that's what I would do.
Okay. All right. So again, I come back to say that for some people, be it a minor or an adult, man, woman, whatever, is that choice that you have sometimes your only option?
Yeah, sometimes it can be.
Okay. All right. So I want to go back to this shower thing. I'm sorry, but I want to go back to this shower thing. Um, I still say that people who are on the street, or even in a shelter. I've never been in a shelter before. I have volunteered in a shelter before, but I've never, I've never been homeless or anything. But again, if you're in those situations, do you have the advantage of someone who does live in a house or whatever? Are you able to take a shower every single day?
If you're living in a shelter, yeah, usually they have showers there, depending on the shelter.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But if you're,
there are some shelters that you can't stay like just one day. They're like I don't know, like kind of like somewhat like halfway houses, where you can have phone. But most shelters, yeah, they usually have like shower. Some of them even have laundry facilities.
Okay.
Where you can check your mail. Sometimes shelters have like a mail system, all depending on the city and the shelter.
Okay, but you would agree that people who are in those type of situations, whether you're in a shelter or on the street, you are at a disadvantage and you don't have the same choices and options of someone who, like I said, goes and lives in an apartment or a house every single day.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. All right. So I had asked before, was a choice an illusion? Is an option an illusion? If someone gave you options, are those really an illusion? Anybody?
Depending on what the options are. You know what I mean? Straight up.
Okay. Well, I already said the military or jail, but okay. So your mother tells you you can either have spinach or you can have broccoli. Is that an illusion? Because either way, you're going to have something that you, as a child, you probably don't want to eat. So is it really and is it really an option or a choice,
Well, yeah,
or
it's an
is
option. You get to pick which of the two evils do you want.
but is
You're going
that
to get it
an
either way, but you have a
right,
choice which one do you
right, but
like the
is it
least.
right, but is it an illusion? Because that's not really a choice, because how come, okay, so you're saying this or that, but what if I want corn? Mom, I like corn. Nope, can't have corn. It's either broccoli or it's spinach. So okay. Stinger says, damn, as an adult, I like both. As a kid, I hate it. You know what, Stinger? I love spinach now. I like broccoli too, but you are right. As a kid, I did not like them, but as an adult, yep. So that's a good choice for me now.
Brussels sprouts. Didn't like him as a kid. Still don't like him as an adult. Brussels sprouts.
No, don't
Oh,
like Brussels. I don't like Brussels sprouts, and I do not like uh, asparagus. Ugh. So yeah. So let's see. So, did I miss someone's comment? Let me go over here and check. Okay, no one said anything. Okay, so um, let me ask this, and I'm not trying to get political into political parties or anything. I'm just going by choices, and this is what I asked before a lot of you guys popped on. Um, we have choices of doing a write-in ballot. How come do you think a lot of people don't exercise that choice or that option? Is it because they know that, if they write someone in, more than likely 100% chance that that person is not going to win anyway? But how come we have a choice and we have an option that when we fill out a ballot to go vote, that we can write someone in? Why do you think people don't exercise that choice as much as they could? I'll put it like that.
maybe because in reality they know that like not enough people are ever gonna put the same person or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay, so then I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you, is that is that little space where you can write someone's name in, is that really an illusion?
No, because
Because
it's still your right to write
I
in.
mean,
Doesn't mean they're gonna win.
right, but is it like, okay, I guess what I'm saying is,
But yeah, I see where you can see it could be an illusion.
okay, 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 yeah, because I mean, because to me, it's like this teaser. You're giving me this line to write someone's name in, but in reality, they're not going to win anyway. So to me, that's an illusion. And I think that a lot of the things that we do, and even some of the choices that we have, are really an illusion, because it's either this or this. It's either this, or this. But you have to choose. And if you don't choose, then someone will choose for you. And I'm not talking about voting. I'm talking about, even in the workplace, in your daily life, if you go somewhere and they say, well, do you want this or this? You want to sit in seat A, you want to sit in seat B. You don't make a choice. They're going to put you either in seat A or they're going to put you in seat B, but you're going to be in one of those seats. So if that makes sense. So, but guys, this is going to be a short show today. I apologize. I know I've been keeping my show short this week, but it's been a really busy week for me. But does anybody else have anything that they would like to add on choices? Stinger says, "Oh boy, see, Stinger, I did not go there." Anybody? Poot, do you have any last words you want to add before we close it out?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you popping up. Thank you.
I
I
will say
appreciate it.
everybody has a choice in what happens.
Okay. All right. All right. Stinger says, can we have a better choice? Right in that. Write it in. Write it in. So on that note, guys, thank you for coming. Tomorrow's Thursday. I think my topic tomorrow is on the lighthearted side. I try to do Thursdays as a more of a lighthearted show. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. And everyone, I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. Hey, Shy Lady, thank you for coming. Ba, Stinger, Juju, Angie, Pook, thank you for popping up. Mr. B was here. Thank you. Crazy Lady, thank you for popping up. And Grid, thank you, thank you, thank you. Power Girl, Frankie, did I miss anyone? D-Mac, thank you. And Tisfala, I can never pronounce that name correctly, was here earlier. Thank you. And Crazy Lady, I'm really looking forward to you next Saturday, the 27th. I'm really looking to that paranormal. I'm really looking forward to doing the paranormal show with you. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow.